High ticket closer and you make less than $15,000 a month, you have zero excuses to why you don't watch this video in full, especially if you clicked on it because you want to get better at high ticket sales. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tristan Steckler. I've been doing high ticket for 4 years now. I've closed millions and I help people just like you take your skill set from where you're at to where you actually want to be. Watch the video in full, take notes, pen and paper, and I promise you if you implement what I teach, you will make more money. Enjoy.
Okay, guys, let's get into it.
Well, these calls, they typically take about 45, 60 minutes. Just want to be sure that works for you. Do you have like a hard stop or anything like that?
My kids get off the bus at like 3:30, so an hour is good.
Okay, sounds good. And just kind of want to say, like, the main thing we're looking to do is we're really specific in what we help. We don't tackle generalized anxiety. We're really specific in the kind of dysregulation that we've become experts at helping in. And so just would love to start by kind of two parts. Understand where all of this started, and then how it's actually affecting you day to day. So those are kind of the two parts. So how did all this get started?
My whole life, I've been athletic guy. I played 3 sports in high school. I played soccer through college.
One thing you could play around with, JD, I do this with a lot of like personal development offers or like fitness, anything like that, is framing the conversation a little bit better. Because this guy is, you see it, like the muscles, the chain, like wants to be viewed a certain way, probably isn't prone to having uncomfortable conversations or vulnerable conversations on a consistent basis. So I want to frame the conversation of like, hey, and JD, before we go too deep in this conversation, one thing that I do want to say is, I know this is not going to be the easiest conversation with someone that you've, just met off the internet. But from what I've seen in doing thousands of these calls is that, we tend to surround ourselves with people that kind of just pat us on the back. They don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. And I don't want that to be our conversation today. In fact, like the strongest man in the room is the one who's able to open up about what he's actually going through. And the more transparent you can be with me about what's going on, the more I can potentially help you. Is that something we can agree to? It's just a really strong frame. I don't fall into the narrative that frames and like word tracks make all the difference in calls. But if it comes from a genuine place, and they feel as though you have their best interest in mind, it's just gonna set the tempo of, I need transparency and I need you to be thorough in your answers in order for me to be able to help you. And there's zero judgment in this process.
Yeah.
College.
Okay.
Never had any like issues with anxiety. My mom always did. My mom's a very anxious person. I have sisters. My twin sisters both struggle with anxiety, stress.
Notice how from the get-go, what is he doing?
Reference point.
Reference point of other people, not himself. So just something to be aware of. Like, that's where typically pride and ego will get in the way of you getting the leverage that you need.
To the point where they take anxiety-related medications, and I always thought like, just get over it, basically, don't let it affect you. But
key but, and what is important here is when did he come to this realization? Why is that important, guys and girls?
Yeah, time frame to get leverage.
Yes.
Yeah,
Time frame, because if he said 5 years ago, I'm like, what have we done since then? Just to keep it simple.
Recent years, anxiety is starting to get the best of me as well. I guess I had COVID pretty bad, where in 2021 I got COVID and I passed out from it. I had like a weird episode where I fell backwards in a chair. My wife was there. Called the ambulance. I took an ambulance to the hospital, had COVID, was released that day.
Okay, so he just shed some more light into some things that I would want you guys to take note of. Did you catch it?
Oh, he's bringing up timeline, I think, right now that it's been happening since 2021. So there's a big gap there, right?
Totally. That's number one. What's the other one, Rowan? Did you pick up on it?
I'm not too sure if I did. My mind's going like, okay, he's bringing up COVID as the starting point of where he noticed these anxiety issues. What else was really going on that might have led to that? Because it probably wasn't the fact that he had the flu. like what things were going on in his life around them that actually caused that, losing his job, being at home, shut down from governments, all that kind of stuff, right? That's my thought.
That's good because 2021, it may just be that was the catalyst, but he may have been experiencing this more so for years prior to that and just hadn't really done anything about it. It's almost like, with a guy he's got the tight muscle shirt, he's got the chain on. It's like this guy wants to figure things out on his own.
Mm-hmm.
That's an assumption, but just from doing thousands of calls and working with these types of people, it's pretty common. Resistance.
Tristan, would it be safe to say, like, with a guy that looks like this and just the way he's speaking, that like he's mentioning he's never thought anxiety was a real thing and all this stuff, but he's probably actually had that most of his life, hence why he cares so much to go to the gym, to look this way and to do those things, right?
Yeah. He views anxiety as weakness. He wants to be viewed as strong.
Yeah.
So that type of person is always going to try and figure it out on his own. But at what cost? At what cost? Another thing you brought up was my wife and even potentially children. I don't know. But in what way is the anxiety affecting them would be a conversation that you would want to open up at a later time.
Yep.
We definitely want to profile these people, though. How do they look? How do they talk? What's their temperament? Are they confident and arrogant? Are they humble? Are they more like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, where they don't believe in themselves?
Yeah.
All those things are really important.
Yeah.
But that's like kind of the first time I feel like I've started noticing it's like the change in me, where I get these like weird, like weakness, like this weakness feeling that comes down into my legs. Like I'll stand up, I'll get real lightheaded, and then I roll from there. And I think I have every issue that everybody has. Like my neighbor died of glioblastoma, brain tumor. I thought I had a brain tumor. I got my brain scanned. I'm going to every doctor for this.
Yeah.
Then whatever it is, like now I just finished tax season, so like I'm very high strung. I own a CPA firm, so I run a tax practice. So
you made another year.
Yeah, made another year. Yeah.
On to the next deadline.
Yeah, that's all it is. Deadline to deadline. So I had two 5-year-old twins. They're very stressful. And I'm wired hot. So I'm always on. I can't get more than 7 hours of sleep, even if I'm exhausted. Like it's the same thing. Like I wear the Oura ring. I wear a watch. I'm constantly checking my pulse. My wife thinks I'm nuts. I've seen every doctor you could see. I've been told by my primary care doctor, speak to somebody, maybe, talk yourself off the ledge that way. I recently went to the doctor because I thought I was having heart issues.
Yeah.
He said I was fine. Last year when I turned 40, I went to get like my just 40 checkup. I got the colonoscopy, the endoscopy, everything was okay. I got my heart checked. I wore the heart monitor. Everything came back good. The only thing
is this guy proactive or reactive?
Proactive?
Yeah.
Super reactive. You think he's proactive?
I think he is proactive in the sense that he's doing everything that he knows to do to try and solve the problem. Reactive would be more so like, he didn't do anything since 2021 and he's kind of just white knuckling it and hoping that things don't continue to get worse and worse.
Right.
Why is it important to understand that, though?
It's a measure of like, is like a path of doing a program or something that requires your intent and your commitment. Like, do you already have path laid out for that, or are you expecting for somebody else to come along and take you by the hand and lead you? And so he already is demonstrating some self-efficacy, is what I would say.
Yes. And that's important because I don't want to put him in a bucket he doesn't belong in. And I don't want to start trying to like discipline him and call him out or challenge him, because he really is trying everything from what he's sharing. So this is where the conversation needs to shift from, what have you done in the past and why haven't you done more, to with everything that you have done, what do you feel like is missing?
Yeah.
What do you feel like you need? And this is where it turns into you demonstrating expertise, JD,
Yeah.
to build a bulletproof case to put him in the best possible position. And through doing that, if you notice that there's resistance from him, where he doesn't fully trust you, or he feels like he's heard this in the past, that's where we would get into that fear-based conversation and trying to overcome some of those limiting beliefs.
Okay. Just drowning in data.
Yeah, and everything.
Lance, do you have a question?
Yeah, could you restate what you just said, please? For the person that they've been trying things, you said like, what do you think that you need?
Yeah, with everything that you've tried up until now, because he's mentioning this doctor and that doctor, and my wife thinks I'm crazy. It's not just his wife that thinks he's crazy. He thinks he's crazy. He's like, how have I not been able to figure this out? I'm doing everything that I know how to do. Feel like I've turned over every stone. So the last thing that I would want to do with this guy is be like, well, dude, why haven't you done more? Like, why didn't you look into an online program, etc.? Like that would make him feel like he's an outcast. Like, I'm condescending him or I'm judging him. Like he's not doing a good enough job when he is being extremely thorough.
Right.
So I just need to figure out with everything that you tried, like, what do you feel has really gotten in the way of you figuring this stuff out? What do you feel like has been missing? What do you feel like you need? And he may not have the answer to that question, but that's collaboration. I need to be collaborative with this guy, not combative. Combative is not going to do anything for him believing in me getting him what he wants. But what I was stating in that, Lance, is this is why it's so important to be an expert with the product that you sell. Far too often do I hear the sales trainers, coaches, etc., talking about how product knowledge isn't important and all you have to do is master the psychology. Like, yes, that can get you very far. It can get you very far. But with this type of personality, he's not going to be emotionally manipulated into making a decision, just like you probably wouldn't be either, right? So like buyer psychology is demonstrating expertise where he feels he's in the right hands, and this is different than what he's done in the past. That's what gives him confidence to move forward. Shane.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, so when we ask them, for these particular types of prospects, what do they feel like is missing or what's gotten in the way? So even if they don't tell you like an internal reason, right, they're going to probably give you an external reason. Oh, I don't think I've had one-to-one support or X, Y, and Z. That's good enough. Like as long as you sense that there's no sort of like internal reason that's held them back and they're being proactive.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and in terms of the support that you've gotten so far from XYZ doctor, where do you feel like they fell short? What do you feel was really missing in that process? What do you feel that if you had it, you would actually be where you want to be in terms of getting a handle on this stuff? And don't just get the answers. Use the answers as leverage to build a really good process. That's why I say like everything that we do is customized to the person. Remember how earlier in the conversation you mentioned that you fell short in this area? Well, what we're going to do in this first phase is we're going to solve XYZ problem, just like we've done for XYZ client. And what we've seen is having this in place is what gets to XYZ goal.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
You have to be an expert, right? Like you need to know your ideal client profile like the back of your hand, and you got to know exactly what you do as a service to solve their specific problems. And anytime you run into conversations like this where he's kind of in his own category in terms of needs, like he's not a generic one size fits all prospect, you have to build more leverage and more product knowledge. That could be through talking with your CEO to get more information and insight on how we solve specific problems, or even like bringing your CEO in on conversations like this to see how they support clients like this. But you got to be an expert. You have to know everything that you do to solve your clients' problems. That's what builds trust and certainty. And it also builds conviction in you. And we've all been there, like on calls when you're fighting tooth and nail for the person, you got everything about them out on paper and you're 100% certain that you can help them, like how it feels when they still won't move forward, how frustrating it can be for you. We're like, dude, if you would just take action, this would change your life. That's where you want to be. And on the flip side, we all know when we did a poor job, maybe it was like our last call of the day out of like 6 back-to-backs. Maybe you had some DQs. Maybe something's going on in your personal life where you just drained. and how you show up on those calls and how much of a disservice it is for them, especially if you don't have the product, you don't have expertise in that area, how it feels to let someone go when you know you could help them and you just chose to give them a half you know what effort. It's two-sided. Francesco?
So with someone like this, would you then just focus the conversation more on value? Because you said that you asked him, like,
Yes,
what have you
it's
tried?
a give and take. So you build them up with value and expertise where they trust you, and then you go in and start asking those more like emotional questions to try and build more leverage and build more urgency.
Okay, because I was trying to picture the same conversation, like for our offer, let's say a BISOP, right? And then what I see in that scenario is that we could either go like, fail in the past, so let them to, take ownership. But in this case, like it seems that he's done everything ever to put himself in the right position. So
Yeah.
or value.
Michael?
So this is really good. So when you say like give and take, right? Give them something to feed on, right? In let's say my case with like the real estate offer, would you position it as like breaking down some of the numbers on like the deals in their area to like show them that you know what you're talking about, and then go into like the emotional outcomes? Because like I had a call yesterday and I went straight to the emotional when this guy has been in real estate and he didn't like that. There was a lot of resistance. So
Yeah.
then I started going into like the numbers and stuff like that, and it eased up the conversation a little bit. So is that what you mean by like that value proposition? It's like giving them something to feed off first?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
This is really solid. This is really
Like,
helpful.
even as an example, look, if I'm talking to a sales rep, what demonstrates me as an expert is chunking down on current situation and getting all the numbers out on the table. That's an example, right? What have you gone about doing on your side in terms of increasing the show rate? Because currently right now you're at a 45% show rate. And if you were at a 60% show rate, just look at the numbers, right? How much more income would we be making? You have a calculator on hand? Do this number times this number times this number. What do you say? How does that sit with you? You're just an expert. Sales is easier than what we're talking about here. But if you don't have that level of confidence and certainty in what you're selling, then you need to sit down with the business owner, go through all of the curriculum material, take notes on it, and master it, because you want to be able to have those types of conversations with these people.
This is really good. Thank you.
Right. Like imagine if you went to a doctor and you had like some serious health issues, and every time you asked a question, the doctor was like, I don't really know the answer to this question. Let me get back to you on that. Like, let me talk with my associates. You'd be like, And then this guy's like, okay, you're gonna come in this back room. We're gonna get you set up. You ready to go? Tremendous resistance. So it's the same thing on your calls. And if you notice that there are recurring themes where people are asking you questions, the more sophisticated buyers are going to ask you specific questions. When you don't know how to answer them, create like a Google sheet of like most common questions and get all of those answered and use that as a reference point, and build off of that.
Very good. Thank you.
They can't find anything or any reason why I have this like weakness feeling, or this anxiety that just comes out of nowhere, or I think I have something's happening to me. I'll panic. I'll have to like start breathing. I'll have to take my shoes off and walk in the grass, like anything to calm me down.
Yeah.
No one really has an answer for me. I guess I'm scared. Overall, I'm scared to die. I'm afraid to leave my kids behind ultimately.
Yeah.
And the fact that I have a really high pressure career.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely taken its toll on me over the past couple of years.
Well, I just want to say you just said something extremely insightful that I often kind of have to unpack with people in these calls, is that scared to die.
Yeah.
And then you correctly identified, not just scared to die, I'm scared of the outcome of my death, being that these girls don't have me around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where we'll get into more of like the rooted science of the dysregulation that we tackle. But on a neurological level, that's where it begins to become ingrained that this concern does serve you. Because it's anybody, not just you, but with that pattern, it's like, I'd rather have panic. I'd rather like get 20 feet back from the edge than I would face that outcome.
Yeah.
It starts to buffer. Yeah.
It's almost like my wife says I'm looking for something wrong in myself. And it's like, I'm not really looking for something wrong. I'm petrified of something being wrong. I'm just looking for a reason as to why I used to be able to go all day, all night. I could party with the best of them, get up the next morning, go to the gym, feel great, no hangover. And now it's like, I struggle to get to that top. When I go to the gym, I'm exhausted. I'm like mentally, my nervous system is just fried. And I just would love to find a place of how to fix that. And I'm against taking a pill. I don't want to take a pill. I've had doctors tell me I should take a pill. I just don't want to do that. You guys came across my feed, and it sounded like everything I'm going through. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I have the pleasure of telling people.
Anyone else relate to what this guy's talking about? You may not have kids. I relate to what he's talking about a lot. That feeling of I'm going to lose this all. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to blow it. Could all collapse tomorrow. I'm not doing a good enough job. I should be further. That's a consistent thought process of a high performer, which is typically what fuels the actions. And him being in this career is definitely getting in the way of time spent with his family. No doubt.
They're not alone.
yeah, which just feels good, to be honest.
Yeah, because I mean, most people are very isolated in this experience. So
I am isolated.
yeah, and so it's like you don't see anyone else dealing with that same pattern, but it's like, great, I have this conversation with people all day. So that's one piece. Okay, so
what I'm seeing now is, where do I go? From you, JD. So with what we've spoken on so far, what would be an appropriate next step in terms of lines of questioning to get more leverage? And anyone else can chime in as well.
Clear on the time frame, like when these things have been going on, what specific moment happened when you realized these things?
Yeah, so for me, like, because I reviewed this myself and kind of understood what I was doing, and it's like in my mind, I'm looking at situations, I'm saying, is there enough clarity and is there enough pain? So I felt like I had pretty good clarity of what he's experiencing, and then it's like, but the pain hasn't been turned up at all. So I'm pretty sure what I do here is I go to like, hey, how has this impacted you? Like, and trying to unpack like family, work a bit more. So because I realized in reviewing, one of the reasons this call went so well was he handed me so much on a silver platter.
Correct.
I just had to sit and listen. And then but then it was like, I need to make sure that because people become so like calloused to this in their life, I'm like, I need to turn up the heat a little bit. So I'm pretty sure what I do here is like, but how is this actually like sitting with you? How's this impacting you, your work, your life? I think that's what I do here because I know that I need a little bit more like severity before I'm going into what have you done so far. I'm pretty sure that's what I do.
Yeah. What would give you leverage here is affirm him, number one, right? That's really important because he's been very honest with you. And these personalities typically are not honest.
Yeah.
It's
I
all about
really appreciated the conversation with him. He was very humble.
very humble. That's why I said, guys, like when you're taking these calls, they're going to be two buckets. They're either humble and willing to be transparent, or they're arrogant and prideful and resistant to being led. So depending on who you're talking to, that will be the almost like the foundation laid on how am I going to go about this conversation to get the leverage that I need. Now, when we're talking to somebody who's super type A, very arrogant, resistant to being transparent, what's the thought process and path of your line of questioning? How do you typically handle that, Francesco?
If someone is not really honest, they're not really humble, you want to really chunk down on get really granular on their current situation. So, they cannot make any excuses. If you're getting all the context and really getting specific, you have all the leverage.
Watch this. Never forget that ego persists because of a lack of clarity. That's super important. Now with this guy, he feels like he's crazy. Is this guy, is he optimistic or is he losing hope?
Losing hope. That's why he's in a call.
He's losing hope. Yeah, my wife thinks I'm crazy. Helpless. Yeah, that's a good way to describe him. Feels like he's exhausted his options. Feels like he's the only person going through what he's going through. He said he's isolating, right? So this is where we take a big brother frame with him. So it's like affirm, make sure that he feels validated, right? Saying things like, I really appreciate you for being so honest and upfront with me. I know we've just met, and I know this isn't easy to talk about, but I really appreciate it. You'd be surprised how many people get on these calls, and I feel like I'm pulling their teeth.
Yeah.
Really refreshing to speak to somebody with the caliber of success that you've created for yourself, being a family man, working hard, trying to turn over every stone with all these different doctors. I know you're going through a lot, and I know you're carrying quite a load for yourself. I'm really glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. This will lead us down the path of one thing as well. I know he's tried a lot with the doctors. We can go deeper into that. What do we feel like is missing? But another good one would be, one thing that I've noticed, JD, and doing thousands of conversations like this is one of the main reasons why we find our clients find themselves in positions like your own, where you're kind of isolated, you feel like you're going crazy, etc., is because we haven't really taken the time to reflect on the way that we think and the way that we make decisions. It's kind of like a guy on the side of the street that is homeless or a drug addict. Like if he truly knew the weight and the significance of how he makes decisions, he probably wouldn't still be on the side of the street. So as uncomfortable as this may be, like let's take some time to really evaluate like in what way this is showing up on a day-to-day basis with our work, with our wife, with our kids, with our finances, right? Like I need to figure out in what way this is affecting you and impacting you to get leverage to understand what's gotten in the way in the past of you getting more comprehensive help and support with this, rather than just going with doctor after doctor after doctor. It's kind of like, fool me once, shame on me, but you can't be fooled 15 times by 15 different doctors when they're all giving you the same runaround. Make sense so far?
Yep.
All
So to capture that, basically a path that we could go of like going to this at this point would be, hey, like what I've found, like just to recap, it would be like, hey, what I found is for folks like in your position, having had thousands of these calls, a big reason how people end up here is because you're a busy guy, got twins, work, again, like a firm, like he's got a lot on his plate. And then
Yeah.
to say, but there hasn't really been that chance to just reflect on how we're operating and how we're showing up for ourselves in this area.
Yeah.
And so just pause there, give it a second, be like, so how is this showing up day to day? Which
Yeah.
is also turning up pain at the same time as chunking down of like clarity too. Okay.
In what way is specific pain point affecting X, Y, and Z area? In what way? You'll give me 2 seconds. My dog is tearing up a chair over here. All right, let's get back into it.
But one thing I want to get really clear on is you mentioned a couple of things that are like the concerns that we'd be looking to resolve. One is the weakness. So you stand up, experience dizziness, weakness, having vestibular concerns. The other
This is another great thing to do with these types of prospects of, I call it a summation. It's like what I hear you say is X, Y, and Z. Is there anything else that you would add to that? Like, am I on the same page? Am I way out in left field? Want to make sure I'm tracking with you?
Because right here, it's before I turn up the pain, I realize we actually haven't discovered what he is actually dealing with. It's like, okay, I'm 7 minutes in. What is it that we're looking to resolve so it's clear? So then I was asking this for clarity.
Good job.
One was panic. I've got to do something pretty drastic to kind of pivot and calm down. And then the other was heart concerns. Um, do all of those relate to one another in your experience of them? Are they distinct episodes? What does that look like?
I'm trying, I guess mentally, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with me, right? So, like it used to be, I thought, like I said, I thought I had a brain tumor, so I thought that was the root cause of it. I thought I've had stomach issues, or do I have Crohn's disease? Is that why I feel so like shit? It's like now the newest thing for me is maybe something's wrong with my heart. Again, when I got checked last year, they said they found a H2 blockage or something like that. So I got seen by a specialist. He said, no concern, nothing to worry about. You're all good. I got my checkup 2 years ago, and my kidney levels were a little off. So that, now I don't take creatine, I don't take any supplements. I'm just all natural. I'm trying to drink green juice, any new juice that comes on the market. I'm fucking drinking it. I'm falling for everything just to try to make myself feel like I'm healthy enough and I'm going to last a long time, basically.
Okay. But what is the physical experience that you're having that's counteracting all that data, right? Because you're getting cleared right, of what they're looking for, but then you're experiencing things that are pushing back on that. What is it that you're experiencing?
Like the lightheadedness and the lightheadedness and the weakness. And I feel like I have a racing, my heart's always racing. I'll check my pulse. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and just start checking my pulse.
Okay. So you'll even wake up in that kind of panic, high vigilance state in the night as well.
In the night.
Okay. And these concerns, these episodes, is it every day? Is it once a week?
I don't have like strong episodes like often, but it's a constant battle with fatigue and like it's a weakness feeling.
Okay. So
I don't have strong episodes, but it is really bad.
Yeah.
This guy sounds like schizophrenic in the way, like his mannerisms.
So what I'm hearing then is like, let's say that, Greg 2.0 is like on a scale is like 10 out of 10, right? Like you don't have a weakness, you're sleeping well, you have the energy and clarity to like face the challenges. 0 is not functioning, right? So that's probably what you saw with your mom, right? Of like, like I'm retreat, don't function, don't push into things, like I don't have the energy. So what I'm hearing is, let's say on the worst days, when you kind of have that like, oh my gosh, like, what's going on? Where does it land on that scale? Like how low does it dip?
So I'll push myself as hard as I can, and I'll push myself to go to the gym, even if I feel like I'll just be anxious over nothing. I'll wake up in the morning, I'm just so freaking anxious. It's like, what the hell is causing this anxiety? I'm trying to figure it out. It's like, I just started the day. Why am I anxious? And then it's like, all right, now I feel weak. I feel crappy. I stand up. It's like, I got to get the grips. I would say most days I'm probably hovering between a 3 and a 5 most days. I don't ever feel like Greg 2.0 anymore. I wish I did. I don't.
And again, that's really common with this. It's kind of an identity fracture that people experience because it's just like, I have all this evidence that I should be running ahead, but there's like my body's hitting the brakes. And even that waking up like that, what I'm hearing is a clear pattern where your nervous system and stress pattern is pushing a physiological state that's then driving concern and anxiety.
Yeah.
Okay. And how else has that been impacting you?
I feel like I become irritated quickly,
Nice. Dude, this is really good, JD. Really, really good. So do you guys see what I'm talking about in terms of like asserting yourself as an expert?
Yeah.
Where through chunking down and getting context around, current situation, all the symptoms, that's what gives him leverage because he's not some noob. He's not like a nurse. He's the doctor here. And that's what puts this prospect in a frame of being transparent and open up.
And I think it's like the first time for so many of these guys too, they've put a number on it. Because like unlike a make money offer, like I've been using that scale a lot because we're for folks that start getting skittish on like how bad it is and they don't just like, they're not just in a burning house already. It's like, yeah, but put a number on it and they're like, oh shit, like I'm stuck at a 4. It's like, okay, that's rough, so it's been helpful.
My patience run thin. That's probably my biggest thing. Like, it'll be like 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I'm just so shot.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to sit and read a book with my kids, do their homework, like little things like that, where it's like, I want to be present for those things. And it's like, my nervous system is just so, it's just on edge all day that I don't.
Can you give me an example? When was the last time that happened? What happened? Besides you, who else is this affecting? Because with this macho type of personality, he's going to give you like he's not going to give you the worst thing that's happened. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Have the energy anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm afraid. I like to drink. I'm not gonna lie. I like to drink. I like to party. I like to have a good time. I'm afraid to have a drink. I'm afraid of what it's going to do to me the next day. Like, and it's, that's where I'm at now. Where it's like I cut out alcohol. It's like now I'm afraid to enjoy life. What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially what's the point of another tax season?
Yeah.
You can't enjoy the fruits of those
You
labors.
can't exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sounds big. So we've seen it show up with the family, seen it show up at work, capacity to kind of field what's coming across your desk. And just, maybe you're pushing through.
Because I'm like, give me an example. He gives me an example. I'm like, on your worst day, give me an example of that.
Yeah.
On your worst day. Like, what's the worst thing that's happened because of the anxiety that you're experiencing and being short-tempered? Like, I get it, dude. I can be short-tempered myself. But give me an example. Because I'll get to the point where I'm like, you know, what was the look on your child's face when you said that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, what does your wife have to say about all this?
That's definitely an area I can improve, just like that deeper pain level and more clarity in that.
You'll get that leverage fast. I'm like, what do these conversations look like between you and your wife in terms of getting help and support?
Yeah.
Like, is she supportive of that? Yes, she is. Well, how do you know? She's told me. When did she tell you? How often has she told you that you need help? Because then it starts turning into like, how does it sit in her mind? Like, what is that doing to her ability to trust you, knowing that she's telling you that you need to really get your hands on this, that it's really affecting the family? And up until now, we really haven't exhausted our options. You know, but that's accountability at the end of the day. Like, it's not comfortable, but it's done because I care and because I want what's best for you. And the main intention of us having the conversation in the first place is to give you the confidence that you need to get what you want in your life, what you deserve for your family. Let's keep going.
To check the boxes, but not like present in the moment enjoying it. Okay.
Yeah.
What have you done so far to try and resolve this?
Again, I've seen every doctor.
Just so he doesn't have to repeat himself.
Mm-hmm.
This could be where we get into that conversation of like, with everything that you tried, I know it's a laundry list of doctor's visits. Like, what do you feel has really been missing?
Yeah.
And then aside from doctor's visits, what else have you explored, being that it hasn't given you the results that you're looking for?
I feel like I've seen a lot of doctors.
Yeah.
I do have some friends that kind of had similar situations. One of my friends who moved to Florida, she said, you definitely need a functional doctor. It's like they have just a different approach on medicine.
Okay.
When did she tell him that?
Mm-hmm.
Has he acted on that? Or is there hesitation, apprehension towards that?
Yeah, I noted that for later. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
I heard it went in ear and probably out the other until
You see that?
today.
Until today. I'm like, when was that?
Mm-hmm.
That gives me leverage. I'm like, what came up in your mind in that moment that prevented you from taking that step and exploring that option back then? Because that's where we start to get into like, well, I didn't know if it was going to work. And I've heard it's a lot of money. Like, there are going to be concerns that come up that you can handle.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, at the end of the day, like, he's a hardworking man. I'm sure he makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, what's more costly? What's more costly at this point? Because if I get leverage about like him snapping at his kids, snapping at his wife, blowing up on people, then I get a lot of leverage to challenge inaction.
Gotcha.
What are the things am I doing? I try to eat right. I try to get my sleep pattern. I'm trying to, go to bed consistently, wake up consistently. I try to exercise. I make sure I do all that. I try to stay in the moment. I try to breathe when I feel like, But it's just it's a constant.
I try. What does that communicate?
That he's doing it on his own.
DIY. Do it yourself. Why would someone do it themselves rather than getting outside help, support, expertise?
Fear. I could see even with this guy being hopeless in a way of, well, I tried all these doctors and it didn't work. So like, what's the chance that, this other thing is actually going to work now?
Yeah.
and we get to the root of this in this conversation. This is why, that's why it closed ultimately. It was a good call, but like we figure out why here in just a second. But
Okay, let's do it.
Mental struggle with me. I'll see somebody on TV that got colon cancer, and it's like, oh shit, I have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll just say it's really hard to get a rein on your thoughts when your body's sending signals all day.
Yeah. And it's like I got every alarm there is.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it common? Is this like a common? Do people drive themselves crazy like this?
Yeah. I think you're on something important here. That question: do people drive themselves crazy in common? Okay. Driving themselves crazy. What do you mean by that?
Like my wife just says, it's just all in your head. Like you gotta beat it.
Yeah.
And then it's like I don't want to tell her what I'm going through because she'll just dismiss it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like now I'm like fighting with myself. It's like, should I make another appointment? Do I feel this chest tightness lately? It's like, is that real or is that me just creating it in my mind? And now I
feel like it's all in your head.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I could tell you when I thought I had a brain tumor, I had a headache every single day, and then I got a brain scan and my scan was clear and the headaches are gone. Yeah. So how the hell do you have a headache every day for a month and then they're gone? Like how can I create that in my mind? It's like, how did I do that?
For me, I hear stress regulation. I hear stress pattern because headaches, these kind of things that you're facing, like when you're basically, Greg, if I was to put you in the woods next to
Once again, whether you know what you're doing or not, you are speaking through expertise which gives you expert frame, which allows you to ask uncomfortable questions, and he will submit because he believes that you know more than he does about how to get out of his situation. This is really good.
Grizzly bear. How would your body respond?
I shut down.
Yeah, fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
Air fills the lungs, blood gets redirected. It's like we gotta escape the threat. So, Greg, for people
I take
like
too
you
long
and all of our
educating here, by the way. It takes a couple minutes, and I noted that when I reviewed the call myself. So a little bit too long, but
All good.
we get back to it in a couple minutes.
All good. No, it's perfect.
And I think that you understand that too, because even from the beginning of the call, you're like, I'm experiencing weakness. I'm lightheaded. I do have this, I do have these sensations. I think it's a matter of a system that's been so attuned to that it's not allowing you to
Avoid, I think. This is how it is.
process in a way that's healthy. So it's kind of like you're like with a stress response, people talk about like a stress bucket. And it's like if it fills up and starts overflowing is when you start experiencing symptoms, right? Or I like to think of it kind of like a waste management facility. So all the shit comes in and it should be able to process it all, filter, and get it out. But what you're experiencing is your body's kept the score year after year. That system just never had a chance to reset. Does that make sense?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. We'll get more into that, but I think one thing that's really important is Greg, you said that functional doc went in one year out the other. Have you ever looked into any other specialized guidance when it's like health coaching or people that are kind of outside
Good job.
of medical realms? Have you looked at that?
I went to one session, like an intro to meditation, and it sounded great, but it was like the time for me to have to give to the meditation was just not conducive to my schedule.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to do that. I looked, I did some self meditation things from YouTube and things like that. Where I would sit in my room, I'd shut the lights off, I'd shut the door, put on a candle, and just kind of breathe and just try to have happy thoughts. And you're not going to die. You're healthy. You have a good family.
It's funny. If we calculated the amount of time that this guy spends self-analyzing and overthinking and anxious and worrying and doubting and angry in comparison to the amount of time he would have to put into self-help.
But even the time to learn meditation on your own and do it, it still takes time.
Yeah, how much time were they asking of him?
Right. Yeah.
I'd be curious to know. Because what he's saying is, I'm too busy. I'm like, okay, holding on to this belief that you're too busy has put you in a position, though, where insert all the pain and the trauma that you're causing your family and yourself. That's why it's important. Walk me through a situation in the past where you're experiencing high amounts of, anger, frustration, short-temperedness. What did that look like? What did that look like on a bad day? Who's being affected by this? That's what gives you ample leverage to challenge the excuses that they make. Because he's saying he's too busy. I'm like, well, when you work with us, we're going to have a certain outline of steps and actions that we're going to expect you to take. If you tell us you're too busy inside the program, what kind of results are you going to get? He's like, oh, I'm not going to do that in the program. I'm like, well, we've been doing it up until now. And at what cost? Because he knows this better than anybody. Nobody has time. He's a business owner. If he had an employee that he paid every single month to do XYZ thing, if his employees were like, well, I just couldn't get to it, I'm too busy, how would he respond to that? Would that guy keep his job? Of course not. Because nobody has time. We make time for what's most important to us. But it's not the timing thing. If I said, JD, here's 10 grand, just take it out of my hand, you wouldn't be like, well, dude, I don't have the time for that. Too busy. That wouldn't happen, right? You'd take it immediately. So we all make time from what's most important to us. So if it's not time, what was the actual obstacle, the internal constraint that prevented us from doing more in the past? That's how we funnel into fear.
You have a good situation, you have a good job, just try to focus on the positives rather than the impending thought that I'm going to die one day. It's like, yes, everybody's going to die. It's okay. I just don't want it to be, I'd rather get hit by a bus tomorrow than have to endure the idea of I got a death sentence of cancer coming my way. It's like, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. It's a lot, man. You're talking about, I don't feel like myself. It's impacting those areas of my life. So it's just like, what do you feel like prevented you from continuing to look for options. Like for some people, it's like they felt too busy, or
Because what helps you with this, JD, is specific time frames.
yeah,
Like, when did your friend tell you to go and see a functional health doctor? Like, when did that happen? And what came up in your mind that prevented you from taking action in that moment?
yeah, they just were skeptical of other approaches.
Probably a little of both.
There it is. Good job spoon feeding and getting him to bite on the hook.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know, my wife works a full-time job and she's got a demanding career too. And, you know, kids never stop, you know, and
I hear that, yeah.
to try to find,
So, yeah.
yeah, to commit myself now to something else is hard. But when I saw your advertisement for,
What about that is hard, though? Because what's harder, like not committing to a different way of doing it and just continuing to go to doctor after doctor without any real progress and blowing up on your kids and all these pain points? What's harder in your mind? And then I'm going down the path of like, because if you continue down this path of really not reaching out for help, and we continue, you know, doing XYZ with our kids and our family and our self-worth and all these things for another 5 or 10 years, like, is that, humor me, like, is that success based on your standards, or is that failure?
Yeah.
It's failure. So if you're already on a path of failure based on your own standards, what is it that you're so afraid of? This is where the money's made.
That's such a powerful that whole success and failure one is like it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard.
It's true though, because he would tell other people that don't know him well that he is a successful person.
Yeah.
Based on what? Money?
Yeah.
I know plenty of children that grew up to be adults that were raised in homes where dad made a bunch of money, but they didn't even know dad at all.
Yeah.
And where did they turn to find significance and security? Not the right things. Money isn't everything.
like, you know, it's like could be 15 minutes a day, and that I can, you know, that feels better. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So there's some busyness, but also it's fair to say it's just been a matter of priority too.
Probably. Yeah.
So do you feel like you're in a space where you're like,
Do we have time, or do we make time for what's most important to us? Easy way to overcome that whole time thing.
wanting to prioritize it?
Well, tax season's over, so now this is like my time when I can.
Oh yeah, you know, like I'm gonna get to it in January. I'm 50 pounds overweight. New year, new me, dude. Same thought process.
So if I'm gonna work on this, this is the time to work on it. You know, and I'm just
No time like the present. Nicola?
Could you even ask like, okay, well, next year you're gonna have another tax season and we're just as busy as we are now, like what happens then? Even
Yeah.
if you start now, like what happens then?
Hey, Nicola, can I share just some feedback on what you've shared with me up until this point? And it just comes from a place of someone who's done thousands of these calls. And my main intention here is to give you clarity so that you can have confidence and you can actually get out of the position that you find yourself in. Like, are you okay with that? Even if it hurts your ego up front.
Yep.
You could go like nice versus kind frame as well, like we talked about earlier today. Like if you and I are out at dinner and you're telling a story and I smell your breath and it's really bad, like would you want me to tell you to your face, or would you want me not to say anything? No, I want you to tell me to my face. So with this way of thinking that this guy's given me, I want to go direct down Main Street and start calling out some of the incongruencies and really challenging him and holding him to that standard of who he needs to become for his family.
Makes sense.
I'm telling you, last when I turned 40, I was like, I'm figuring this out. I'm figuring out what
Because I'm like, who has more success? Let's say I'm 50 pounds overweight. The guy who says, I'll do it tomorrow, or the guy who does it right now? Even if he doesn't have a perfect plan.
once and for all what's wrong with me. I went to a whole new set of doctors, you know, heart doctors, you know, just some new doctor to look me over and give me all the tests, and everything was the same. So, you know.
Yeah, but and so that I think that leads into the other point, right, of skepticism, where it's like your pathway that you had was like, to fix this, I'm gonna go get all the doctor tests. Those came out empty. So why not continue to try? Was it skepticism of like other approaches?
We're just not really knowing what the hell to do. I didn't know this nervous rewiring was really a thing.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest, I knew I could feel my.
When they say I didn't know, what are they actually communicating?
Externalization.
That someone else should have.
Someone should have told me. Someone should have told me. Internal responsibility or external responsibility?
External.
external responsibility. So that's where we go like nice versus kind. And then it's like when I hear people tell me on these calls, because I've done thousands of them, that someone should have told them, or that they just didn't know what to do. What I really hear them saying is that someone should have stopped what they were doing and told them, which means they're putting the responsibility of getting into a better position in the hands of someone else.
Nervous system being shot. I could feel I'm always just so nervous for the next turn where something's going to be wrong. You know, I could feel that. I could feel that building.
Yep.
But I didn't really know what it was, you know.
But can I just be really candid with you? It might be a little bit of a shot to the ego, but just to kind of share what I see and just having lots of these conversations.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's like I get that, you know, we didn't put our ad in front of you sooner, right? But like, whose responsibility is it to like?
Okay, there's a better way to do this. This is where nice versus kind comes in. It's really good in like diffusing the blow. What you're saying is right, but you don't have permission in his mind yet to say it because he's been nothing but transparent with you, JD.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be like, oh, you're dumb.
Yeah.
You're insignificant. That's not the way to think. I would rather him see it as like, hey, I'm putting my arm around you, and this is what stands in the way. And I don't want that for you.
Yeah. Continue to seek out those answers, right?
It's mine. But I'm also scared of the answer, man.
And that's where he just told me the real thing, right? And it's like, I'm scared of the answer. It's like, okay. Like,
nice, dude.
talk about that.
Know that too.
Okay.
So it's like if you Google something, everything you Google, the one word you don't want to see is always.
Well, I'm like, yeah, dude. I mean, that's most overweight people, right? Like, you ever talk to someone who's overweight and you're like, how much do you weigh? And they're like, I don't have a scale.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
Tristan,
Right.
can I have a quick question on that here for my own mindset?
Mm-hmm.
There's something that really holds me back from using overweight analogies. Like when it comes to like people pleasing, like it feels like that. I don't know. It feels like this. I have a weird like mental block where I haven't deployed them because I just haven't felt like super comfortable like hitting with that particular hammer. Like I'll go after other ones and other reframes and other analogies, but I'm just curious if that gives any insight or if you have any thoughts on that.
All I can say is this. I used to be 100 pounds overweight, and I would have given away everything in my bank account if someone would have came up to me directly out of love and respect for me and called me out on all the incongruencies that I was operating in.
Yeah.
So valuable. Because a part of my weight loss journey was that I have an identical twin brother. And I went down this rabbit hole of like YouTube motivation of these overweight guys that are like grabbing on all their loose skin. It's like all these compilations. And I was like, man, this is amazing. But I looked at my twin brother and I was like, dude, like, let's swing the bat as hard as we possibly can and lose this weight. And do you know what he told me? He's like, dude, like, we've been fat our entire life. We've tried to diet in the past. It just doesn't work. Like, maybe God just gave us a slow metabolism and he just wants us to be overweight. But he told me. And I was like, fine, I'll do it on my own. And so I went out, worked out every single day, calorie deficit, 10 to 15K steps a day. And when he realized that I wasn't going to quit, he was like, dang, dude, if this guy loses all this weight, I'm going to be the fat twin and no girls are going to want to go out with me. So it's like out of love and respect, we have to confront, not from a place of I'm challenging you, but I am challenging the thought process.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give you certainty and confidence in yourself so that you can get what you want. None of this is personal.
Yeah.
But yeah, easier said than done. I have the fat card. If you don't have the fat card, then I'd be curious to know what your perspective is on that, but nothing is personal.
You know, I'm just learning how to navigate that where it's like tact and empathy comes a lot more naturally than the challenging. And so with challenging people, I haven't wanted to come across like, you know, dealing with anxious people, more resistance. I'm not wanting to put them in a bucket where they're not. Like this guy was very open and very humble and like I could have said anything. And so I think what I'm realizing for myself is that there's just a little, I've put a little bit of a buffer and too much caution where it's like with a person, it's like if I'm speaking to a woman, very anxious, high sales resistance, probably don't need to start deploying overweight analogies. But for this guy, that was a real point of pride and would have landed really hard to be like, okay, like you're in shape, but in this area, you're expressing the same incongruencies. So again, it's just about like the skill of like where it's deployed. And I think that's probably the reframe I needed is like, oh, of course, I'm not just going to like smack like an
Totally.
overweight woman with this and be like,
Yeah,
so,
I wouldn't use an overweight analogy with someone who's
Yeah.
overweight.
Yeah.
I would pivot into like marriage or career or something that's same
Yeah.
idea. But you don't have control over how they respond. You have control over your response to their response. That's it.
and the skill of reading them correctly, right? Which is the skill we're developing. So
100%. All right, everybody.
appreciate it.
Have an amazing day. Help some people.
Thanks, guys.
Guys and wins. Good luck.